Hello guys, welcome back to the answer writing series of HSC examinations. Please write the question. Today we'll see answer the following questions. This question number 7. Please write the first question. Discuss the importance of corporate finance. Discuss the importance of corporate finance. The answer is corporate finance deals with corporate finance deals with the raising and utilizing of finance by a corporation it also deals with capital structuring and making investment decisions investment decisions. Financial planning of capital financial planning of capital and the money market and the money market and the money market. The finance manager should ensure that next point the finance manager should ensure that the finance manager should ensure that the firm has adequate finance the firm has liquid finance the firm has adequate finance and it's being utilized effectively and it's being utilized effectively and it's being utilized effectively and it generates minimum return and it generates maximum returns to its owners. The importance of corporate finance is as follows. Importance of corporate finance is as follows. First point, helps helps in raising capital. It helps in raising capital for a project. It helps in raising capital for a project. Second importance, it helps in research and development. It helps in research and development. Third, it helps in smooth functioning of business firm. Smooth functioning of business firm. Fourth, it helps in business functioning of smooth functioning of business firm. Fourth, it helps in bringing coordination between various activities. Helps in promotion of expansion and diversification. Sixth point, it helps in managing the risk. Helps in managing the risk. Seventh, it helps in replacement of old assets. Helps in replacement of old assets. It helps in payment of dividend and interest. Ninth, that's it. So there are 8 points which shows importance of corporate finance. So let us see one by one, explaining each term and each point in a systematic manner. The first one is helps in raising capital for a project. First, helps in raising capital for a project. In that, you have to write the first one, first of all, we have raising capital of business. In that, a new business venture needs to raise capital. Business firms can raise funds by issuing shares debentures, bonds, or even by taking loans, or even by taking loans from banks. From banks. Second point, it helps in research and development. Helps in research and development. Research and development, research and development need to be undertaken by firm for growth and expansion of business, for growth and expansion of business, for growth and expansion of business, and to enjoy the competitive advantage, and to enjoy the competitive advantage. The research and development mostly involve lengthy and detailed technical work. Lengthy and detailed technical work for execution of projects. For execution of projects. Through surveys and market analysis and etc. Through surveys and market analysis. Through surveys and market analysis, etc. Companies may have to upgrade old products. Company may have to upgrade old products or develop new product. Or develop new product to face competition, to face competition and attract consumers. And attract the consumers. Thus, the availability of adequate finance helps to generate high efficiency, Third point, helps in smooth running of business firm. Helps in smooth running of business firm. Answer. A smooth flow of corporate finance. A smooth flow of corporate finance is important to pay is important to pay salaries of employees on time, also to pay loans and purchase the required raw material. Purchase the required raw material. At the same time, finance is needed. Finance is needed for sales promotion of of existing products and more so for the launch of new products and more so for launch of new products effectively. Launch of new products effectively. Fourth point, brings coordination between various activities brings coordination between various activities. Corporate finance plays a significant role in the coordination and control of and control of all the activities in an organization. All the activities in an organization. Full stop. Production activity requires production activities adequate finance, adequate finance, adequate finance for purchase of raw material, for purchase of raw material and and meeting other day-to-day activities, other day-to-day, other day-to-day financial requirements, financial requirements for the smooth running of, for the smooth running of production unit, production unit. If the production increases, if the production increases, sales will also increase. The sales will also increase by contributing, also increase by contributing the income of concern, the income of concern, the income of concern and profit to increase, profit to increase. Full stop. Next point, point number 5th. It promotes expansion and diversification. It promotes expansion and diversification. First point, corporate finance provides, corporate finance provides, corporate finance provides money for the purchase of modern machines, the purchase of modern machines, purchase of modern machines and technology, and technology, machines and technology. The modern machines, the modern machines, the modern machines and technology, the modern machine and technology helps to improve, helps to improve the performance of the firm, the performance of the firm in terms of profit, in terms of profit. It also helps the firm, it also helps the firm, it also helps the firm to expand and diversify, to expand and diversify the business, to expand and diversify the business. Sixth point, managing the risk. Managing risk. In that, companies have to manage. Companies have to manage. Companies have to manage several risks. Several risks, such as sudden fall in sudden fall in sales, loss due to natural calamity, loss due to natural calamity, loss due to workers strike, loss due to workers strike, and change in government policies, change in government policies, etc. The financial aids help in such situations to manage such risks, to manage such risks. Sixth point, replacing old assets. Assets like assets like plants and machinery, plants and machinery have become old and outdated, old and outdated over the years. Over the years, finance is required. Finance is required to purchase new assets, to purchase new assets having new technology, having new technology and features features. Next point, seventh point, that is payment of dividend and interest. Payment of dividend and interest. Finance is needed. Finance is needed. The finance is needed to pay the dividend, to pay the dividend to shareholders, interest to creditors, interest to creditors, and banks. Creditors and banks. Last point, payment of taxes. Payment of taxes and fees. In that, the company has to pay taxes. Company has to pay taxes to the government, to the government, such as income tax, such as income tax, goods and service taxes, goods and service tax, also known as GST, and fees to the registrar of companies, to registrar of companies, also known as ROC. Finance is needed for paying these taxes. Finance is needed for paying. Finance is needed for paying these taxes, these taxes and fees. Taxes and fees. So this is your question. We started with answer the following question, which said discuss the importance of corporate finance. In that we wrote the corporate finance definition along with the importance of corporate finance. Then we started writing each point individually. Please write next question, that is discuss the factors. Discuss the factors. Discuss the factors determining working capital requirements. Working capital requirements. Discuss the factors determining working capital requirements. First of all, write working capital is equals to current assets minus current liabilities. Working capital refers to current assets minus current liabilities. In other words, it is also called as circulating capital. Circulating capital. It is also referred as gross working capital. Gross working capital. The management needs to the management needs to determine the size of working capital, the size of working capital, the size of working capital with reference to the economic environment and other aspects with the business firm and other aspects with business firm with business firm. Now, coming to the factors determining or influencing, in that factors determining or influencing working capital requirements, working capital requirements are as follows. First is nature of business. Nature of business. Second, size of business. Size of business. Third, volume of sales. Fourth, production cycle. Production cycle. Fifth, business cycle. Business cycle. Sixth, sixth, terms of purchases and sales. Terms of purchases and sales. Credit control. Growth and expansion. Growth and expansion. Management ability. Management ability. And last, external factors. External factors. So these are the 8 factors which influence or determine the working capital requirement. Let us see all of them one by one. First point, nature of business. Nature of business. The working capital requirement are highly influenced by the nature of business. Nature of business. Trading or merchandising. Trading or merchandising forms concerned with the distribution of goods with the distribution of goods require huge amount of working capital. Huge amount of working capital to maintain a large stock of variety of goods to meet customers demand to meet customers demand are extended are extended are extend the working capital to maintain a large stock of variety of goods to meet customer demands are extend credit facilities to attract them, whereas public public utility concerns have to maintain small working capital small working capital have to maintain small working capital because of continuous flow of cash from their customers cash from their customers. So this is nature of business, right? Second point, size of business. Size of business. In that, the answer, the size of business also affects the size of business also affects the requirement of working capital the requirement of working capital. Size of the firm refers to size of the firm refers to size of the firm refers to scale of operations, scale of operations, that is, firm with large scale, firm with large scale operations large scale operations will require more working capital, more working capital, and vice versa. Vice versa. Third point. Volume of sales. Volume of sales. In that, the volume of sales the volume of sales and the size of working capital have direct relationship with each other, if the volume of sales increases, if the volume of sales increases, there is an increase in the amount of working capital. There is an increase in the amount of working capital. Fourth point. Production cycle. In that, please write the process of converting a raw material into finished goods process of converting a raw material into finished goods is called production cycle. If the production cycle period is longer, the firm needs the firm needs more amount of working capital, more amount of working capital, more amount of working capital. If the manufacturing cycle is short, if the manufacturing cycle is short, if the manufacturing cycle is short, it requires it requires less working capital, less working capital. Fifth point, fifth point, business cycle. Business cycle. When there is boom in economy, when there is boom in economy, sales will increase. Sales will increase, resulting in increase in investment in stock. Investment in stock. This will require additional working capital, additional working capital. This will require additional working capital during a recession period. This will require additional working capital, then full stop. During a recession period, sales will decline. Sales will decline, and consequently the need for working capital will also decrease. The need for working capital will also decrease. Sixth point, terms of purchases and sales. Terms of purchases and sales. If credit terms of purchase are favorable, and terms of sales are less liberal, then the requirement of cash, then the requirement of cash then the requirement of cash will be less. Then the requirement of cash will be less. The working capital thus the working capital requirement the working capital requirement will be reduced. The working capital requirement will be reduced. Full stop. A firm that enjoys more credit facilities needs less working capital needs less working capital. On the other hand, if a firm does not get if a firm does not get proper credit for purchases and adopts liberal credit policies for sales. If it requires more working capital so this is terms of purchases and sales. 7th point, growth and expansion. Those firms which are growing and expanding at a rapid pace need more working capital compared to those firms which are stable in their growth in their growth, which are stable in their growth. Eighth point, credit control. credit control. Credit control includes the factors such as volume of credit sales, volume of credit sales, the terms of credit sales, the terms of credit sales, the collection policy, etc. A firm with a good credit control policy will have more cash flow, reducing the working capital requirements, the working capital requirements. Whereas if the firm's credit policy is liberal, whereas if firm's credit policy is liberal, there would be more requirement of working capital. Ninth point, management ability. The requirement of working capital is reduced. The requirement of working capital is reduced if there is proper coordination, in the production and distribution of goods, and the distribution of goods, production and distribution of goods. A firm stocking on heavy inventory calls for a higher level of working capital, higher level of working capital. 10th point, which is the last point, external factors. External factors. In that, if the financial institutions, if the financial institutions and banks provide funds to the firm as and when required, the need for working capital is reduced. So these are the 10 points which are the factors determining and influencing working capital requirements. So these are the two questions from chapter number 1 of first chapter of your secretarial practice. So I hope you will find all the videos like answer in brief, distinguish, justify the following in my playlist. You can watch it now. Thank you.